I want to talk about a little story that happened to me. Um, so this happened to me. I take public transport about once a week. When I go to visit Kat, and usually, I mean, the bus is an interesting time, right? It's it gets me where I need to go. Um, I've had my fair share of run-ins with experiences with some kind of odd people on the bus, right? Not interacting with them necessarily, but some kind of strange experiences. Probably ones that I've even talked about on this podcast. Well, I had maybe the highlight of all of them the other day, the last time I took the bus. So, I woke up pretty early, and I caught like the 9:15 bus or something. So first things first, I get on the bus and I step on, and the driver goes, "Hey, we're full. You gotta wait for the next bus." I think that's what he said. There were a lot of hearing issues. So first of all, we're on the street, so there's noise there. Second of all, the bus itself is noisy just from the sound of the giant engine. Third, I'm listening to music, which I've turned down to try and hear, like, just, hear him a little better, but I am listening to music. Usually I don't have to talk to the bus driver or, like, have some kind of conversation with him when I get on, so it's wasn't really expecting this. And fourth, they do this thing in California. I don't know if they've got it where you find folks are listening to this, but we do this weird thing. I guess it's not weird. I guess it makes sense. When COVID started, there's this COVID precaution on the bus where, so you get onto the bus and there's like where the driver is, when you're standing there, and then there's like this kind of plastic door, this kind of gate that swings out, and I think that's like a COVID thing or like a safety thing or something like that. Um, so the way it works is that it basically blocks you from getting from like the cart, I guess, the cart of the bus itself, like the seating area, to the bus where the bus driver is, um, and but obviously it like blocks you off if you're trying to get on the bus. So what they do is they swing it. They basically open the door when they stop. They swing the door, this little gate, this plastic see-through gate, and it swings inward. So there's now a barrier between where you're standing at the very front of the bus and the driver's seat. Basically, they're basically closing a door on you. So there's also this barrier in the way where I can't hear what the fuck he's saying, but he's saying something about it's being full, and I'm like, sorry, what? Like, I take my earbud out, I'm like, sorry, what are you saying? Like, I'm really trying to hear him, and eventually he just goes, just get on, and I just whatever. I pay, I get on, and I turn. This was the most packed I have ever seen the bus. I have ever seen, like, it was like a can of sardines. It was like a New York subway level. It's usually not this busy, and I figured, for like a 9:15 bus, I figured like an early morning bus, I'd expect to be a little busier because people are getting to work, but like 9:15, I'd imagine that most people are probably at work already if they got to take the bus there, but no, I guess. Ton of people, or get to school or something. Ton of people on there. So I'm like, oh shit, like it's standing room only, and there's people already who are just standing. So I'm like, okay. So I just kind of take my place. I don't want to like wade through the bus and like find look for a. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna cut my losses. I'll just stand at the front of the bus. I'll hold onto the pole, and I'll just sit tight. So I'm standing there, and on the bus near the front, like in that first row of seats, right next to me, there are two individuals. There's are two main characters in this story, I guess, besides me. There's a man and a woman. The man was like I want to say maybe a 40-year-old Hispanic Latino man wearing sunglasses. The woman looked a little bit older. She was a white lady in her maybe 60s or something, and they were having some kind of conversation. He seemed like he was complaining about something. It was one of those cases, it seemed like they didn't know each other, but they'd started a talk, they'd started some kind of conversation beforehand, earlier on the bus. They'd happened to sit next to each other. One of them started talking. And I'm mainly hearing this guy talk, and every now and again she's going, I can't really hear what they're saying. He's complaining about something. I don't know. I hear him say like a slur. I hear him say like that word for gay people. That he's not gonna marry some little fucking word for gay people. And I'm like, okay. But again, I can't really hear what he's saying because, again, noise on the bus, coming from the bus. I got music in that I'm kind of trying to listen to kind of like get away from people. The incredible number of presences around me. And also the fact that we're on the same side of the bus. So he's talking, he's facing away from me. So he's talking away from me. It's the seats that like line the wall at the very front they're kind of like usually meant for like a disabled or pregnant passenger or something like that. Those they like fold up or something. Homeless people with carts. They can like fold it up and use it as a space to keep their cart or something. Well, it's that type of seating. So I don't really hear I can barely hear what's going on, but I can hear him talking. Eventually, at one stop, a lady in the front gets up on the other side of me, and she gets off, and no one takes her seat for like 2 stops. So I'm like, I guess it's mine now. I sit down, and I figure like, okay, I brought a book. I like to read on the bus, so I took out my book and opened it up, and now I can hear what this guy is saying. So I am convinced that this guy was some kind of paranoid schizophrenic. And I'm not saying that as a joke. I legitimately think, if not that, some kind of paranoia or some kind of something went wrong. Something's gone off with this guy. Because I can hear what he's talking about. And now the first thing I hear is him complaining about his neighbors. This would become a running theme throughout the conversation. He's complaining about his neighbors and how apparently like they tried to run him over or something and they tried to kill him. And I hear him say something along the lines of, yeah, they got these ugly ass fake tits because they can't afford the real ones. So already I'm thinking like, how do you buy real tits? Can't you only buy fake tits? And then he keeps going like, they don't know I know, but I know the fucked up things they be doing to their little daughters, like they putting dildos up their little butts and stuff. At this point, I cannot focus on my book. I'm like, whoa, what? Pardon? And he's just going, and he's just talking about like how he can't like get drunk or anything because when he gets drunk his neighbors try to break into his house and they like throw things in his backyard, and how like they want to kill him so they can take his house or something. It's like they don't even own it but they want it. I don't know what they think because they don't own it. And how like he overheard like he wants to get married or something, again not to a little gay person but to I guess a woman, and how he overheard them in their own backyard saying that if he got married they were going to kill him instantly and take all of his things, so he can't get married yet. And then he was talking about how like his mom, and how his mom is in prison because she tried to run him over once in like 2008 when she threw him out of the house, and then she tried to run him over again a few years later, and he went to prison. Sorry, she went to prison for that, and she's serving like 4 to 8 years or something like that, and he just I come to terms with it, but like she gotta go up there, like she gotta go, she gotta pay for what she did to me. So okay, and then like he just like he got a video back in 2018 of his cousin in Mexico getting beheaded, and this woman on the bus, right? This woman he's talking to, I think she was a little out of it too. She was a little off her marbles herself, because she wasn't like engaging with him in that way where you're just being polite and like trying not to die, where you're like, "Oh, really? Uh-huh. Yeah. Uh-huh." She was like, "Oh. Uh-huh." Like she was like when he had that line about like the dildos in them fucking their daughters with dildos. He goes, "Yeah, I'm not gonna say anything though. I'm not gonna I know it's weird to say, but like and she goes, "Oh, you're just reporting it. You're just reporting it?" And he's like, "No, I'm not like reporting it to the police. I'm just like, yeah, but like I'm reporting like to someone else, like to you." And she goes, "Yeah, no, you don't want to report that to the police." Okay, fuck. She is just like, she is really like allowing him to do this on the bus with like 30 people. There's like 30 at least other people on this bus who are all listening to this conversation because he's very loud. He's very loud. And in fact, there was this one point where he goes, "People on the bus be so nosy." And I'm like, dude, I literally cannot ignore you. I'm sitting across from you. Of course, I didn't say any of this out loud. I'm just thinking. I'm like, I'm sitting across from this guy. I have music on. The bus is already loud. I'm looking at a book, right? I'm looking at the book. I can't read. Because I'm too distracted by this guy and this insane stuff he's saying. I literally cannot focus on anything else. I'm trying to read and I can't because it's so distracting. And he really went on this tear where he started talking. Here's where the paranoid thing came from, where I got. He went on this tear about his haters. Like a 2010s like rap pop song about his haters. Excuse me. Cause this guy's got haters everywhere. This guy is full on Imagine Dragons, and he's the misery. Everyone wants to be his enemy. Okay, every single business we passed, he would point out and note to her all the haters he had. We'd go, I went to that McDonald's 10 times. I stopped going. They got fucking haters there. There's these 4 bitches over there. This one, I was drinking my coffee. They got this one fat bitch over there. And her friend, and they were pointing and laughing at me. They think I don't notice. They think I don't know the discrimination. I said, all right, fuck you. I don't like your attitude. So I never go back there again. I go down to this he mentioned like some other local restaurant. He's like, they got haters there too. 2 of them. And he's just, every single place had some kind of a hater. He's talking, I even got haters on this bus. I'm gonna knock some of them out. And now, right, like when I heard that, I was thinking, that set off some alarms naturally, because I'm on the bus. I'm in the category of people who apparently, are his haters, contain his haters. So, I'm thinking like, okay, well, logically, I haven't done anything to this guy. When he starts talking about knocking someone out on the bus, I haven't said anything. I don't think I've made eye contact. I looked at him a few times because, of course, he's sitting right across from me. But he's wearing sunglasses. So, like, I don't know. I tried not to look at him after a certain point and just kind of stare off into the distance out the window. Well, I was just forced to listen to him. But like, you don't know. You don't know with these people. What if he just picks me out? Like, I feel like I'm the most inconspicuous person. I'm just sitting down. I'm looking at my book, trying not to engage at all. Make as little human contact as possible with this person. But like, I don't know. And it really hit this fever pitch, this breaking point for me, where I just could not handle it anymore. And I had to like laugh under my mask when we passed the library, and he goes, "I got that library got haters too," and I'm like, "There's no way. How do you get haters at the library? How? And what?" And he elaborates. He explains. He goes, "There's this bitch," because it's always a bitch, right? "There's this bitch. I ask her for a card. She never wants to give me a card. I think because she's racist as fuck. She thinks I don't know. She's always hella rude to me." I'm like, "Fuck you. I don't like your attitude." I just... This man, he's in a world full of enemies. He's in constant PvP mode. Everywhere he goes, like, the evil energy is just... Everyone hates this man. There's no real, like, resolution to this story, right? Eventually, he just got off, and I was very glad, right? And after he got off, I was like, finally, I can just read. I've got like 30 more minutes before I get to Cat's place. I can just read. And I look down and I try to read. And for the life of me, I just cannot. I'm thinking too much about this guy. I'm like, I have to process what just happened. This saga that's just unfolded in front of me. I can't. And this happened like the day after. I saw this Reddit post, and it was on like bad design or something, or crappy design subreddit, which is a fun subreddit. But it was this post of like a proposed, or I think it's gonna happen, some highway development in Texas where they're gonna add like 5 lanes to it or something like that. Just in that, like, that car culture, like, just add more lanes. Oh, there's a problem? Just add more traffic? Just add more lanes. Even though I'm pretty sure it's actually been... There's some kind of data to back up the idea that adding more lanes actually makes traffic worse, but whatever. We need to fucking spend money on something. So, like... Yeah, I was reading through the comments... And, you know, obviously that thing came up, that argument of, well, you know, the thing that actually reduces traffic is public transportation. If we just reinvested in public transportation, then we could, a lot of places would have to, it would take a big investment to cut down on traffic. Like, a lot of places are just built for cars and stuff like that. They're very foot traffic or biking hostile, let's say. You know, it would be a big effort, but it would be how you do it. And then, of course, someone comes in and they point out, well, no, people in America are never going to give up their cars because of the American dream, you know. Oh, they're so into their sense of freedom, you know. I need a car. I can't take public transportation. I'm an American, you know. That's the only reason people don't want to go take public transport. Let me tell you, there's a lot of reasons to not want to take the bus. There's a lot of reasons. I have just had one. The very next day after reading that thread, I had one. And I should mention, this was a story where, of course, there was that one bit where he talked about punching someone on the bus. Of course, that never happened. I didn't legitimately think he was going to do that. I was just, the there's like a survival element of, okay, well, I have to consider that this might happen, just cause this guy doesn't seem entirely like on it, you know. There's a lot of other times on the bus where, you know, I've just had to be like, well, there's like a likely, you know, drugged out, maybe homeless guy stomping around behind me, yelling about the government. Um, let me just go into like prep mode. Let me just get a little more ready in case something happens. You're right. It is a thought, especially if I'm taking the bus kind of late or past dark, where I'm thinking, you know, sometimes people will get on the bus and I'll think like, I hope I don't get stabbed. I hope this person doesn't try to stab me. And you're thinking like, that's ridiculous. What? That's ridiculous. And then I remember this story that happened from a few years ago. You can find the video of this. Well, not of it, but of the aftermath of some bus. There was some bus ride where this dude took out a machete and just went over and decapitated someone. Just cut their head clean off. And there's a really, really strange interview like right after it happened with a guy who was also on the bus, one of the, I guess, survivors. And he's just in this like state of shock. He's like very calm, but he's like clearly like not processed it. It's one of those things, like if you get punched, that's pretty easy to process. Like you'll be kind of shaken up, right? If you get attacked. When you see someone get like murdered in front of you, especially in such a like a brutal way, the brain like needs a minute to like run through what just happened, right? It's clearly like unsettled. but you need a moment, and he's in this really rare state where you get to see someone in where they're like still processing it. So like they're not like freaking out. But he's clearly like, yeah, he's kind of out of it. That goes through my mind sometimes, right? Hope I'm not that guy who gets decapitated on the bus. You know, sometimes someone sits across from you and they set something down, they set down their bag, and you can see in their bag there's some kind of weird device, and I'm like, I hope that there isn't like a random domestic terror event where someone decides to blow up a bus and I happen to be on that bus. Because, like, you never think it's going to happen to you until someone sits down across from you and puts something weird down. You're like, okay then. I might have even talked about this on the bus, or on the podcast one time. There was one time where, like, this guy, I was, like, sitting across from him so, like, we could make eye contact, and he was just reaching into his, like, his jacket pockets constantly, and, like, I could just like this snapping sound, and then he would like take out shards of like a plastic pen or like multiple plastic pens. It had to have been multiple that he had, and then he would toss them out the window. And then he would just like start tossing like gloves and like hats out the window, like that he would take out of his pockets. And at one point, because of the direction we were going, he tried to throw like a mitten or something out, and the wind actually blew it back and it fell on the ground. And I could see it fall. I just saw this motion. I was trying not to look at him. I could see this motion as it falls onto the ground. I look down at it, and then I look up at him because it seems like that's where it came from. And we make eye contact, and I have no idea what to do. I have no clue. I think I ended up getting it for him, but that was super. Just what the fuck was that about? There's plenty of reasons not to take the bus, dude. There's a lot of reasons.